knows I don't. You've not seen me on a solo show before. So you obviously know that I have someone here with me this morning. I sometimes call him the Yoruba demon. But this morning I would like to be kind and call him his name, Olumide.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'm a Yoruba angel.
Yoruba angel. I don't think I've heard anybody bearing that. So it's not gonna pass.
All right, good morning. I am Olumide Shukura, and it's so glad to be here again, once again, to entertain you and inform you. How was your? I like the pink. I like the pink jacket. You know, it's looking all. It complements your skin, your color.
Producer, are you sure we'll still continue this show?
Are
you sure
you're looking very demure?
I feel like standing up and doing a 360 so that everybody can see, but no. But thank you for the compliment. How are you?
I'm good. Well rested.
Nice, interesting. So there's been a lot of hula baloo on the scene. I think I sent a couple of them to you just before we take banters and etiquette concerning the arrest of former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello. Different reports have been flying around.
Yes.
Initially, there was a report that apparently said DSS took him into custody on Tuesday night. Later, they said he surrendered.
Yes.
And then DSS released another statement that he's not in their custody. And this morning, I saw that they raided the government house, Kogi government house in Asokoro, yesterday night in search for Yahaya Bello. What exactly is going on? Is there some sort of foul play going on that we're not aware of?
Yeah, it brings a lot of questions. It unfolds a lot of things that then again you wonder where all these sources are coming from. Where do you get all this news from? Who is telling who that so person and all that? But you know, when I heard this story yesterday, I found it to be very untrue that Yahaya Bello surrendering. I mean, it's Yahaya Bello.
Yeah, you know, very true. But I just had to touch on that before we get into the details. But let's quickly take banters and etiquette. We'll have to move with so much speed on this segment. We'll be right back.
Welcome, this is Etiquette. Right, so let's start off. Today's topic is phone usage in public places. Yes, this is something we always discuss a whole lot. I mean, yes, everybody's guilty of it, using phone in public places, and some people advise that do not use phones in public places. So what is phone usage? Now, phone usage in public places refers to the use of mobile devices such as smartphones, tablets, laptops in shared or communal or even open area, outside or private spaces. Now, the list of reasons people might use the phones in public places is neither exhaustive nor inclusive. Now, it is certainly possible that reasons as just for something to do or to avoid interacting with others are an underlying motivation, of course, for many other types of phone use in various situations in public. Now, let's look at types of public places. Now, transportation hubs. This one, I think sometimes I learned my lessons the hard way when my phone got stolen like 3 times. So I stopped using phones during in a public transport vehicle and all
my
that.
phone has never, I've never like lost a phone.
Wow.
Is it that it goes bad or I have to give it out? I've actually never lost a phone.
You are well favored. That's all I can say.
Well.
All right, so let's move on. Now, retail places, that's malls, shopping centers, stores. Well, that's also good. Public restrooms, yes. People, for instance, if you're in a meeting, you might want to excuse yourself and go to a restroom and take a call. Now, libraries and educational institutions, well, it's not advisable. Libraries and educational institutions, you need to maintain the quietness. Streets and sidewalks. Those are now common phone. All right.
So just before you take the common phone, libraries and educational institutions, I'd like to state that with the way things are going, it's not possible, in quotes, not to make use of your phone. I remember when I was running my MSc program and I had to use the library a couple of times. There are times you want to make research.
Okay.
Maybe on your phone, maybe you're not with your laptop, or you want to use your iPad. You want to make research. Now, what is advisable is you either turn down the volume absolutely,
yes,
or you make use of earphones to reduce the noise. But with the changing, the world is changing. People want to make research. People want to find out things online. You have assignment to do. You want to go online, read on it. You have to make use of your phone. And public restrooms, or you go to a restaurant or something, I go with my phone because I I'm trying to be very conscious and careful. Anything could happen. I like to have my phone with me, so I'm just a dial away or something. So I think these things evolve with time and based on the location you find yourself as well.
All right, now common phone activities in public places: texting and messaging, of course, social media browsing. That one, I think everyone is guilty of that. Public places, you see people and all, emailing, phone calls, gaming, browsing the internet, taking photos or videos, now listening to music or podcasts. Now, the impact of phone usage in public places: social isolation and decreased face-to-face interaction. I remember back home, my mom used to tell us, her children, that whenever we are gathered together, no phones.
I have that when I'm having a very good time with my loved ones. I don't like to be on my phone because I feel like, because over time we've seen people spend time together, but it's not quality time, because one is gaming, one is chatting, one is surfing the net. There are times to do that, but when you are surrounded with people that you don't get to see often, or you're out on a date, or you're out on a hangout, it is very rude to just take out your phone and just do away with your phone. If possible, put it on silent. You can leave it on ringing and then if you have an emergency, it's okay to excuse yourself. Don't just pick up the phone and say hello, what's up, and all of that. It's okay to excuse yourself, but these days it has reduced the kind of interaction people have with each other.
All right, now distraction and decreased awareness of surrounding. Yes, that also happens. Now, privacy concerns and data security risk, noise pollution and disruption, etiquette and cultural norms, physical health risks such as texting while working, mental health implications such as anxiety and stress. Quickly, let's look at health risks. Now, some of the health risks: text neck, cervical spine strain. Well, I've not had that. I don't know about Sarah, whether you've experienced that.
No, I've not.
We have sedentary behavior and physical inactivity. Wow. Mental health implications such as anxiety, depression, sleep deprivation, and fatigue. Let's stop there.
I'm wondering, anxiety, depression, these days people even use social media to deal with these things. Now, it depends on what you are consuming. There was a time I had to take a break, like reduce my usage of social media, because the kind of things that were online were not helping me. So I intentionally took a break. But sometimes, to people that are stressed, that are anxious, find succor in just being on the net, surfing the net. That's how they are able to. I have friends that will tell you, when I'm like this, just leave me. I just want to surf the net. Let me go on X, let me go on Instagram, let me check funny videos, laugh, and all of that. So it depends on how you choose to use it. But in another case, imagine someone that is under pressure to get married, in quote, and you open social media and all you're seeing is marriage. If you don't know how to manage it, it will get to you.
Of course, also celebrities being trolled. Sometimes they take, I remember Davido and a whole lot of others, they had to take a break. Yes, take a break from the net. So sometimes it could actually cause depression. But I think this is where we'll stop for now, and I hope you've enjoyed what we discussed about. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. Now, this is the newspaper review segment on the Breakfast Cafe, where we bring you stories trending on the national dailies. And you know, as always, we take the Punch, the Guardian, the Vanguard, and the Daily Trust newspaper, and we also have a guest join us to analyze some of these headlines. And you can also be a part of the conversation. Do well to call us 0812-182-0154, and we'll definitely take your calls and your contributions. But let's kick off with the Vanguard newspaper this morning. The Vanguard has the major caption talking about the Edo gubernatorial polls, which is just 2 days away, Saturday the 21st of September. Edo Guba, CDS, please, NSCDC, one troublemakers. Very important. There are a lot of writers to the story. They've said the world is watching and they can't afford to fail. I hope that this statement was also made in 2023 while we're preparing for the presidential and gubernatorial polls as well. But if we were going to rate the success, especially when it had to do with the BVAS and the IREV, there were areas where it was lacking, and even electronically transmitting the results. Another writer says police begin covert operations on plainclothes personnel as plainclothes personnel infiltrate cities and dark spots. Another writer today says DIGs Frank Kumba, Daniel Pedro to leave 35,000 police personnel. Why Akpata is most qualified, NSCDC deploys over 6,000. A lot of riders, but you can get all the details on page 5, Vanguard newspaper this morning. Just above the masthead, importers abandon fish cargoes in Lagos ports over forex and landing costs. That's a page 19 read. Major marketers begin lifting of petrol from Dangote refinery. That's on page 20. Now, major marketers begin lifting from Dangote refinery. I thought NNPCL was the only one that I thought they had the monopoly to lift petrol, and then other marketers have to buy from NNPCL. That's
what I thought too, but these days sometimes I've decided to just leave NNPC and Dangote. They will sort themselves out.
But it affects all of us.
It affects all of us, but I don't know who to even blame now, whether it's NNPC or Dangote will say, oh, we're not the ones in charge of the price, we're not the ones stopping fuel from coming out. NNPC will say this. So, I mean...
Recall that the fuel was reportedly lifted on Sunday, the 15th of September from Dangote refinery by the NNPC, and about 6 million litres, and owing to pricing differences, we've not heard any conversation about that fuel being made available to marketers.
Even on the papers yesterday, I read the report of NNPC having excess of fuel import, and they're still, I mean, well, we'll be fine at the end of the day.
Well, right. But beside that story, Vanguard newspaper has this: CTC practice direction, Nigeria's aviation global rating shoots up 70.5%. That's a page 8 read. Pictorial representation of election materials arriving Benin for Edo polls again Saturday. Economic crisis, we warned you. Baba Ahmed tells Nigerians. Baba Ahmed was the Labour Party vice presidential candidate, if I'm correct, for Peter Obi, and he has come out to say, we warned you.
Who did he want? Nigerians or
he's
APC?
telling Nigerians. Baba Ahmed tells Nigerians. Economic crisis, we warned you. Baba Ahmed tells Nigerians. That's a page 8 read. So rather concerning one beneath that story, school resumption. Parents, authorities blame low turnout on harsh economy. That's a page 11 read. I saw this one. I saw some videos as well yesterday. Parents were really lamenting price of boarding house, staying in the boarding house, school buses, you know, has skyrocketed. They're talking about a 300% increase in the price of tuition and other associated costs, and it's mind-boggling.
It's really mind-boggling, but I mean the other, just like you said, particular school was their boarding was increased from 35,000 to about 100,000.
I think that's it's a model. I think that was the
model college.
The trending story we took yesterday. But let's move on from that. Mossop writes Tinubu threatens oil war in Ogoni. That's a page 13 read. Beside that story, of only 7 states fully implements contribution as asset hit 20.7 trillion naira. That's from PEMCON. And lastly, Sports Page 37 has this: Asaba 2024, Delta wins NYG ahead closing ceremony today. That's all we have on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, quickly let's move to the Guardian newspaper this morning. On the Guardian newspaper, the bold headline says, inflation, low patronage hits online stores. Malls amid 200% spike in prices. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. There's an infographics here. It says price of goods rose as much as 200% in the last 1 year as inflation hit 32.15%. You can see minimum monthly cost of a healthy meal for an adult of 4 persons up by over 35%, from 122,765 naira in January to 184,971 naira by June. Well, that's to give you an idea of what is really going on and how people are actually struggling to even have, if it's just a one-course meal.
How many people still eat 3 square meals? You
These
know,
days.
I'm very concerned, particularly for children. Children that need to eat the right things at the right time, right amount of fiber, carbohydrate, protein, you know. And it's one thing to, these days parents have to sacrifice a lot just to make sure that, parents have always been sacrificing, but what I mean is these days it is now more intentional because these children have to eat well. So it's concerning.
All right, moving on, we have Kogi Poly sacks Randy lecturers as OAUTH removes office sex. That's on
Office beds.
office beds rather. Wow. Let me take that again. Kogi Poly sacks Randy lecturers as OAUTH removes office beds. Wow.
Why
office
should
beds.
you even have beds in your office? It is not in your house. It is your office at your workplace. So why should you have a bed in your office?
To take rest,
to take a nap.
Yes.
Only if that was what the bed was used
meant
for.
Exactly, but it was converted into, you know, immoral activities.
You know, I told you Olumide is a Yoruba demon. You see, he's trying to make excuses for that.
No, I'm not actually making excuses. I thought that was the reason why. I mean, lecturers, they go through a lot. Now, moving on, we have over 21,000 apply for 7,000 KWASAIC. All right, let's take this one. Aliu from Oyo State. Good morning, Aliu. Oh, we lost that call
Do you
there.
want to call us back? Yes.
All right, let's quickly move on. We have other stories to cover. We have PDP crisis. Makinde backs Mbato Damagun as governor's end of UC plan sack. That's on news page 6. Beside that, we have Bello remains wanted. EFCC insists lays siege to Kogi government lot. So, I mean, rumors has been dispelled. He has not surrendered. EFCC do not have him in their custody. He remains wanted. Beside that, donations for Borno flood victims hit 11 billion naira. I hope.
You took the word right out of my mouth.
I hope. I'll just stop there. I hope.
Don't stop there. We hope that these donations that are being made for Borno State is actually channeled into the cause, because we recall that when this whole thing started and happened, they talked about the amount of money that had been spent or earmarked for that purpose and what happened to it. So who is this money going to exactly? Is it going to be shared among local government areas? 11 billion naira is a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
So if they have been able to donate 11 billion naira, we should not be hearing a case like this anytime in Borno State. Quote and unquote.
Well, like I said, I hope. That's all I can say for now. Now, moving on, fuel scarcity. Tanker driver caused traffic chaos in Oshodi Apapa Expressway. That's on Metro page 8. This, below that, we have Zulum warns emirs against illegal mining, insurgency risk. Illegal mining and insurgency risk. That's on news page 5. CSOs worry over Edo gubernatorial election, condemn INEC's refusal to redeploy the REC. There's been a lot about that. That's on news page 29. They will have more stories. Okay, I think that's all we have right now, coming from the Guardian newspaper this morning.
All right, let's quickly take a look at the Punch newspaper this morning. It says Edo poll, INEC deploys 5,000 beavers and 18,000 ad hoc workers. That's on page 2. Right after that story says APC Labour Party tackle PDP over Obaseki's 1 billion naira grant to market women. NAF aircraft arrive Edo with sensitive materials. Obaseki has donated 1 billion naira grant to market women. Elections are here. I'm not surprised to see this.
Well, let's see how it goes. All eyes on Edo. Let's see what happens. Let's see whether we've learned our lessons, like you said.
Above all, we pray and we look forward to a peaceful, safe, and calm environment for the elections in Edo State on Saturday. All right, above the masthead, we see this one here. Tinubu may merge ministries, departments, and agencies, scrap humanitarian ministry. Are we towing towards the direction of reducing the cost of governance? Is that the reason for this update? Because if we merge ministries, departments, and agencies, it will also reduce the amount of money. It's supposed to reduce the amount of money that is going to be spent.
Personally, this government doesn't seem like their focus is on reducing cost of governance, the way they've been going about it. So, well, fingers crossed.
Right. Okay, beside that, PDP National Working Committee members plot Damagun's removal. That's on page 14. Read, Cameroon Dam States plan emergency shelters. News page 12 has it. Yaya Bello, EFCC besieges Kogi government lodge. That's on page 12. Beneath that pictorial representation, we see this one: World Bank to grant Nigeria $1.7 billion loan. That's according to a report.
Why are they granting?
Yes,
why?
To use the money for. We need loan, please.
It's getting too much. Obaseki just got how much? It's getting too much.
Page 26 has the details of that story. Lagos State government records 300 domestic violence cases monthly. Now, this is something. This is very, very disturbing. And I know there's a ministry responsible for this. Ministry of there's one for the one that has to do with women. The Ministry of Women Affairs. There are those that are social workers as well, that take on cases like this, because 300 cases per month in Lagos. Now, this statistic is from Lagos State government. It's not encompassing of other states.
Yes.
Concerning one. And lastly, private employers paying below 70,000 naira risk jail. I take that again. Private employers paying below 70,000 naira risk jail. That's from the federal government of Nigeria in regards to the review of the minimum wage. So private employers that are paying workers below 70,000 naira should know that they are risking,
bill is passed before
they are risking jail term. I wonder how they want to go about finding out these private employers. Is there a yardstick to measure it and all of that?
Are you going to be knocking from houses to houses,
office to office,
asking their cleaners if they are being paid below 70,000? How many people are you going to put in the correctional center? Well, it's overcrowded.
Right, but that's it on the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, lastly, it's the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, and the Daily Trust newspaper greets us with a not-so-good news. In Zamfara, it said Zamfara boat mishap, 10 bodies recovered, 22 still missing. We have 3 writers to that story. Search extended to neighboring villages. Survivors, victims' families speak. How accidents happened. This is according to an eyewitness, or according to eyewitnesses. This boat mishap thing is becoming rampant in especially in the north part of the state. Now, moving on, we have this one. We have CBN to now charge cybercrime levy at 0.005%, a new guideline. So the cyber crime levy is back.
Yeah, it was suspended.
Yes.
It wasn't overhauled.
Yes, it wasn't overhauled. So it's back now in 0.005%, which is quite insignificant, if I might say.
You think so? But let's move on.
All right, demography positions Nigeria to lead $7.7 trillion halal market. That's according to Vice President Shettima. Now, tackle illegal mining before it turns into insurgency, Zulum tells Emir, if it hasn't turned into insurgency yet. Moving on, Yaya Bello remains wanted, not with us. This is according to EFCC. Hardship. Bafarawa donates 1 billion naira to Sokoto people. Well, that's quite generous.
There's money in this country.
Well, I would like to just put that somewhere. Now, moving on, court remands farmer for defiling stepdaughter. That's rather gruesome. That's so quite disturbing. And lastly, here we have transport fare hike, low turnout of students 1 week after school resumption. Of course, I mean, if you look at the roads in Lagos and other states, it's getting scanty. Fewer cars, fewer buses, and whatnot. But I think this is all we have coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. We're going to a short break, and when we come back, we're bringing our guest. Stay tuned.
Bad production can kill a great content idea.
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Welcome back. It's still the newspaper review on High Impact Television, and of course we're about to bring in our guest, but don't forget you can also take part in the discussion by calling the number on your screen. Yes, let's welcome Dapo Adaramewa. He is a governance consultant. Good morning. It's glad to have you here again.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Also, let's get into the papers this morning. Quite a whole lot. But let's start off with the Yahaya Bello saga. What came through your mind when you first heard that he surrendered, he's in DSS custody, and the EFCC coming out to say, oh, he's not in our custody? What went through your mind?
Frankly, I think it's one of the marvels of the Nigerian system, that somebody who is declared wanted seems to stroll into the very agency that declared him wanted and then stroll back out, and the agency proudly comes out and says he's not in our custody. It's almost comical if it wasn't so tragic, you know, because it is very glaring to anybody that can see that what we call our judicial system, our law enforcement, all of these things are subject to who the alleged criminal is. It's very, very clear. This is the same agency that goes around raiding hotels, raiding clubs, arresting young men. You know, not to say that those young men haven't done wrong, but you know, if the agency has the confidence to do all of this and arrest people and, you know, all this dramatic thing that they do, how come a wanted criminal seem to walk into their offices and then walk back out? It's just, like I said, it's shocking, and if it wasn't so tragic. And I think the most painful part above all is how we as Nigerians, we come to just look at it as, one of those things. The average Nigerian, when they saw it, they're just like, well, we've almost become used to this level of, shall we say, failure in the system. And it's a painful thing to see.
Do you actually believe he walked into the EFCC premises, or it was just all fake news?
I'm not too sure. If we are to go by what some news houses have said, then it is true. We saw some images. That's another thing that begs the question in this day and age. How sure are we that those images are recent, if they're true? But it certainly would be interesting if it turns out to be true that he walked into their office and walked back out.
Right. All right. Thank you for your thought on that. But let's digress a bit to the Edo polls happening on Saturday. Just 2 days ago, with this whole fuel situation in the country, there was a headline talking about how this fuel situation might affect logistics and what have you in terms of the polls. And the Vanguard newspaper has a headline this morning talking about how the CDS, the police and NSCDC has come out to warn troublemakers, just as INEC has deployed 5,000 beavers and 18,000 ad hoc workers. That's from the Punch newspaper. Now, I'd like to get your perspective as a governance consultant, seeing that we're in a digitized age, a headline coming up about logistics, fuel scarcity, and the elections. First off, how does this greet you? And should we expect something different in terms of the usage of beavers and IREV and what have you? Should we expect something different from what we saw in 2023 for the general polls?
I think what we saw in the last polls was a huge embarrassment to the judicial system and huge embarrassment to INEC, the slap in the face of Nigerians. Now, thoughts are being planted now that petrol might mean that, the physical funds are not being carried, whereas the Constitution already provides for there to be electronic transmission of results. Whether or not they would adhere to that in this round of elections is yet to be seen. At this point, it seems like our country is being run as a full-time banana republic, in the sense that there are no rules, there are no laws, all of it is just subject to the power of the people who are at play. We would hope that there will be electronic transmission of results. We would hope that an institution like INEC of such magnitude would be able to provide enough fuel. And if they cannot, maybe they should contract it out, because we all know that yes, there's fuel scarcity, but in reality, if you have enough money, I'm very sure you can order almost 5 tankers today and get it by this evening. You might pay an inflated price to get it, yes, but you will get that fuel.
But isn't that a problem as well? Isn't that a problem if there's scarcity, but when someone has money, they can actually order for a lot when people out there cannot even see little to buy? Isn't that the problem we're also trying to solve?
You're very right. The truth is there are many layers of problems in this country. Yeah, in fact, God is helping us. We will make it through. There are many layers of problems. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that a whole federal institution as critical to our democracy as INEC should not get to hide behind the fact that there's fuel scarcity as an excuse for not being able to provide petrol, such an important and essential task. It would be an admittance of wholesale failure and incompetence on the part of the leaders of INEC, So let us hope that they will not, to me all of this sounds like, when they are wetting the ground for potential serious rigging. So what they do is they start planting it in our heads that, okay, there might be fuel scarcity, there might be this, so that at the time the manipulation should start, it will be as if, okay, we had already told you that this is a possibility. But it shouldn't be. There should be electronic transmission of results. INEC should be able to provide, enough petrol for its people and its representatives to go out there. We're not talking about a presidential election that's happening all over the country. We're talking about a state election. I'm not too sure how many polling units there are, but I'm very sure it's a number in which that INEC as an institution should be able to handle.
All right, thank you very much. Let's shift our attention to Borno. Now, donations to Borno flood victims has hit 11 billion naira. Now, I'm very skeptical because we know what corruption does to our economy. So how can we ensure that there's accountability and transparency in the donation, sharing, or distribution of relief materials in Borno? Secondly, some analysts have said that money should have been given to the National Emergency Agency, that's NEMA, to distribute instead of sending it to the state governor or the state government. What's your thought on that?
I think for regards to transparency, there are many agencies, so there are many institutions that can assist with that. We have the likes of Budgetit that helps, monitor the budget and its expenditure. We have another NGO that's called Follow the Money that helps monitor down to the grassroots how money is being spent. So there should be a sense of openness to all of this and say, okay, this is where the 9 billion arrived, and they should be able to give accounts, publish accounts of what has been done with the money, where it has gone, in such a way that we can verify, we can track it down. But generally, it's always going to be a major issue when you talk about money passing through the hands of politicians. Anybody that thinks that the devastating tragedy that is ongoing is enough to make these people take their hands off probably doesn't understand politics enough. There are men out there that will watch the people of that state suffering and dying and impoverished while stealing this money that we're talking about. Let's hope that 11 billion can make a difference. But what I would love to see, rather than all this, fire brigade approach, is that why don't we raise another extra 11 billion now and start putting in flood prevention strategy that we cannot see? Must we wait until this happens?
Talking about being proactive.
Yes, about being proactive. These things, we've gotten to the day and age in science where none of these things are unprecedented. Even typhoons and hurricanes and all these things are accurately predicted, and people are preparing for them. So let us put in place strategies that would ensure that the next time there's flooding, the people are kept safe. That is what I would hope for.
All right, thank you so much for your thoughts. There's so many things on the headlines today, and this particular one caught my attention. And Olumide and I just made a quick joke about it. Now, the Punch newspaper has this: private employers paying below 70,000 naira, which is the new minimum wage, risk jail term. Now, this statement is credited to the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Labour and Employment, Kacholom Daju, where she stated this on Wednesday, saying that the new minimum wage is a current, it has been signed into law, and as such, no worker, both at the government and private level, should be paid less than 70,000 naira or the risk jail term. First off, what's your perspective to this headline, and how do you think the federal government, through the Ministry of Labour and Employment, intends to carry out this operation, if I could use that word?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting, by law, there is some merit to that. Okay. But to my knowledge, there's quite a lot of state governments that aren't paying the minimum wage.
Exactly.
There's quite a lot of state governments that are owing wages for several months. So, who are they going to arrest at the state level or at the federal level? Is it the governor himself? Is it the permanent secretary that they intend to arrest? Who is going to be held responsible when our state institutions, our federal institutions, are themselves unable to pay this new minimum wage?
That's a good question.
Right? So who are they going to arrest then? So this witch hunting, shall we say, of the private enterprise, which, by the way, is one of the only things still keeping this country solvent, because government does not provide enough employment for the people. I want people to really settle down and think of the impact that that's going to have. So all those small shops that you stop at, you buy egg, all those kind of things, and there's one young girl there. Now, I want you to try and calculate how much profit you think the owner of these small shops is making. Now, if they were paying, which would be 840,000 naira a year in wages just for that one person that is there, how much profit do you think they are making from these small shops? Now, bearing in mind that this private enterprise, this small business, his rent has gone up.
Exactly.
Because the landlord is trying to survive inflation.
Power has gone up.
His fuel has gone up. His rent has gone up. In order to survive, a lot of people are cutting back on their purchases. Meaning, on average, his income has gone down. His expenses have gone up. Now we're going to more than double the expenses in terms of wages. Now, so it's a very dicey situation now. Is it possible to survive on less than 70,000 naira in this Nigeria? It's very hard. It really is. So, on one hand, one has to empathize for the people who are earning these low wages. But on the other hand, we need to recognize that what is going to happen, right, if we do this to private enterprises, a lot of businesses will shut down. Right. There is no ifs, no buts. There should be no confusion. Now, those people who were managing 50K before, they'll be back on the unemployment line. Right?
Right.
How increasing the level of unemployment in the nation will really drive us forward. Now, please, let me just highlight one last thing. The interest rate in Nigeria now is about 33%. So that means if I want to take a loan of 10 million naira to start a business, every year I'll be paying, 33% on that 10 million naira, 3.3%. Now, please, how many businesses do we know, all of us that are all thinkers in this country, that will return me more than 33% profits in its first year? Except I'm going to move drugs.
That's a very, very big question there. But what do you think can be done at this point in that? Because you said something which is very true. We know state governments that are not paid minimum wage. Even 30,000 naira was a big deal. So at this point in time where this is coming out, the economy is biting hard, cost of living has gone up, salaries are not going up and all of that. What exactly do you think can be done to properly manage this situation so we still stay afloat?
I think firstly the federal government needs to, and the state governments need to shift their attention from trying to, I would say, in a combative relationship with private enterprise to one of support. Now is the time for the federal government to be looking at, okay, what loans can we provide to certain key sectors of the economy? Education, healthcare. Those are key sectors of our economy that have a lasting impact on everybody's well-being. So what kind of soft loans can be made available to certain key sectors of private enterprise at low interest rates so that these areas do not die, right? So there needs to be that kind of support. Now is not the time to be talking about who you are going to witch hunt, who you are going to arrest, all of these kind of, very crass, techniques. I would say this is not the time. The question isn't how do we punish private enterprise for being unable, not unwilling, right? Rightfully, if you have a private enterprise that's making huge amounts of profit, but just out of sheer greed, decide that they are not going to pay the minimum. Now that is punishable, that is wickedness. The bigger question instead should be, how do we help private enterprise, one, stay solvent despite the challenges that they are making, how do we ensure that they are making enough to be able to afford this, this increase? How do we reduce the rate of inflation? How do we reduce the rate of interest rates so that we can stimulate growth in the economy? Those are the bigger questions that need to be explored in order to get the country's economy back moving in the right direction.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to shift your attention to this rather concerning one. It says World Bank to grant Nigeria $1.7 billion loan. That's a report. So my question is, this reckless borrowing that we seem to have found ourselves in, do you think there are any repercussions or any repercussions might come up in the future, or are we safe to just go ahead and keep borrowing? And secondly, do you think that there should be some sort of law passed? I don't know how well we've passed or surpassed our borrowing limits, but do you think there should be some sort of law to put a cap on our borrowing limits?
In regards to borrowing, it's not borrowing itself that's the problem. The truth is, many of the largest economies are seriously indebted. Some of the fastest growing economies are indebted. It is not borrowing itself that is the problem. It is what the loans are being used for. Now, if a country is taking a loan to invest in an area that will increase productivity and allow the country be able to earn more in the long term, then it makes sense. When we talk about loans, we need to look at it and scale it down in the same relationship we as individuals have with our loans. If I go out today and I go and take a loan of 20 million naira at this interest rate, and I go and buy myself a nice Benz, right, and I'm pushing the Benz as a big boy in Lagos, that's a problem. Because that Benz might get me handshakes and smiles from people, but it is not going to give me any returns. In fact, it is what we call a depreciating asset. Yeah. Because the moment I buy that Benz now, it is no longer, it is no longer, what do we call it, UK or USU. It becomes Nigerian U. Yeah. Meaning, if I bought it 20 million, it has lost half of its value, right? Now, if I take that same loan and I invest it in a business that is going to make me returns of about 50% a year, then it's a fantastic idea. Because even when I pay the interest off on the loans, I still have extra money to hold on to. So the question is, what is Nigeria and what has Nigeria been doing with all the loans? I look around my environment, I look around the Nigeria of now, and I can tell you that between, in the last 10 years, in the last 8 years, right, despite all the loans that have been collected, I'm pressed to see any significant changes in my environment as to say that this is what that loan was used for. There have been no huge major infrastructural projects around the country. The only thing we can point to is the rail system. How sufficient and efficient that rail system is another question, because we spend billions of dollars basically installing one of the older models of rail, while the whole world is looking at ultralight rail, super fast rail. We are investing billions, right, into this old rail system. So we're investing into, and we're mismanaging this loan. We're taking loans and you're executing contracts that are 10 times, the actual value. We're spending 10 times the actual amount that should be spent on a particular project. It makes making returns on these loans near impossible. That is where we really have a problem. So the government needs to come out and tell us, give us an account of the loan we've been taking. Point us to what you've done, have any new ports been built in the nation? What has been the end result? What has been the returns on the previous investment that you did?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Adarama. We do appreciate your thoughts. You have been very brilliant. We do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thank you. And you too.
Right, it was quite interesting what he said. It's not the borrowing, it's what the borrowing is being used for. And we hope that, yes, in as much as we are borrowing, we are using it to economize or enlarge the economy.
Do something that can also bring in revenue. And it's just like you take a loan, like he said, that was the most logical example. Yes. I take a loan to buy a car. I'm not using it as a ride-hailing vehicle. I just want to cruise around town. The car would have fault, I have to fix it, the value would depreciate. It becomes a liability rather than an asset. So if you are going to take a loan, take it for something that can yield income for you at the end of the day.
All right, this is where we come to an end on the newspaper review. Stick around, we still have a whole lot more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe.
abrogate, abrogate, abrogate.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. Olumide and I are still here giving you a bumper ride, I must say. And we've taken a look at the national dailies right now. We're moving to another segment where we take a look at something very, very interesting. And you know, one thing is when we throw out questions like this, the comments we usually get are always a lot. People like love. People like relationship. People like Olumide, they like all these things. But today we threw out the question, which one is harder to do? Moving on, starting over, or letting go? And trust people to send in their comments, and you can also be a part of the conversation. Do well to call us 0812-182-0154. Which one is harder to do? Moving on, starting over, or letting go? Before Olumide says he'll direct it to me, I'm going to just talk. For me, I believe it's actually letting go. Because it feels like you're letting go of it, especially when you've been intertwined with yourself. It feels like you're letting go of a part of yourself, and it takes a lot. That's where once you are able to let go and you are sure that you've let go of everything, moving on will be child's play.
Well, for me,
what is it for you?
You earlier on at the beginning of the show, you bestowed upon me a title, right? So I take that title.
I bestowed upon you a title. Wow. Okay.
So I take that title.
Okay. Which is use your mouth to say it.
No, I take that title. You
know
the title.
People that did not. There are people that just joined us.
Yes.
And did not join us when we opened the show. So maybe you should use your mouth to tell them what your able title is now.
Well, you bestowed upon me a title which I feel it's a Yoruba demon. Well, so for the time being, I accept that.
So which one is it for you?
Well, moving on, starting over, letting go. Yes, I'll go with you. Moving on. Letting go rather. Letting
go was mine.
Because for you to move on, you have to let go.
Before you to start over, you have to let go.
You have to let go.
You can actually start over and still be holding on to something.
Yes.
But the moment you've let everything go.
Well, let go. It's for me, yeah. I think letting go, it's harder because just like you said, that part of you is not just letting go that part of you that has been intertwined, that has been connected to that person before. It's a whole lot. That's why some men go into drinking. They do all sort of things, despicable things, immoral things sometimes, just to let go, just to get their mind off that particular person. But the moment you are able to let go, the sky is the limit.
But you need to understand that it's not about doing things that are temporary. You might go get yourself drunk, do immoral things like you said. It's just for the moment. After that, once it clears out, once you regain your consciousness, you're back to it. So until you intentionally deal with it, you're only using sand to cover it on a surface level. You've not dealt with it. Absolutely.
Well, it depends on how much you love that person, because that's what makes it harder. If the love is on the surface, I think you will just brush through it. Men will just brush through it and all that. But if it's really deep, well, women have a way of letting go easily or faster than men. So
I'm not going to get into that debate with you because I'm just not going to get into it with you. But let's take this comment. This is Pamela from Lagos. Pamela says, moving on, starting over, and letting go are all challenging in their unique ways. However, based on human experiences and emotions, I'll argue that letting go is often the hardest. Letting go requires releasing emotional attachment, memories, and investment in something or someone. It involves accepting loss, grief, and uncertainty. Spot on, I must say. You have to let go of the attachment. You have to let go. Accepting that, this phase is over, and I just have to let go of this person for my sanity. Even if it's a mutual thing, you both agree that, it's time for us to, whether in romantic relationship or platonic relationship, you both agree that it's time for us to just let go. It's a lot. People handle it in different ways. Some people lose weight. Some people fall sick. Some people start having habits like just eating. Some people gain weight as well. It's a whole lot.
Well, this is great Queen from Great Yabatek. She says, starting over requires faith, hope, and resilience. It's an opportunity to redefine your story, learn from past mistakes, and create a better future. Pastor Bimbo Odukoya emphasizes, I like that. Pastor Bimbo Odukoya emphasizes that starting over involves reframing failure as a learning opportunity. So I would pick starting over again. It takes a process, but with time, you would heal, or you will heal. Queen from Great Yabatek. I like that motivational statement from Pastor Odukoya.
Late Pastor Bimbo.
Late
Odukoya.
Pastor Bimbo Odukoya.
Right, but let's take the next comment. This is John from Lagos, and John says, whether it's moving on, starting over, or letting go, each action demands introspection, courage, and a willingness to embrace change. While challenging, they offer opportunities for personal growth, resilience, and the chance to create a more fulfilling and authentic life journey. John should probably be a therapist or a counselor, you know.
I think one of the things that makes letting go harder is when you think about letting go, and when you think about starting over, letting go becomes harder.
Yeah, because imagine you've been with somebody for, say, 5 years, and you have to let go. You now start, okay, so I'm going to go through this process all over again, and I don't know how long I'm going to do it. No, I can't do this. So
and you know, talking stage these days, it's really wild out there.
Men are running away from talking stage.
Yes, because at the end of the day, you know, some people feel that, I mean, all this talking stage is just, we can skip so many things and just, we know the end point.
What are you skipping?
We can skip a whole lot of things.
What are you skipping exactly?
What are we skipping?
These are some of the problems we have.
Okay.
We don't try to know the person we want to be with. So we just feel like, I know your name, I know this. I saw a post yesterday on social media. It was just for cruise. And the person was like, instead of asking for genotype, you're asking what your zodiac sign is. Are these the things that you should know?
Yeah.
Like these days, we just say, okay, look, we've met each other, okay, now that's it. And then you now get into it and start finding out things that you probably never talked about, you know. But let's take Edward from Delta. Good morning, Edward. Thank you for calling. Are you there, Edward? All right, do well to call us back. 08121820154 is the number to call.
But you know, it takes a whole lifetime to know someone.
I'm not saying, even when you get married to someone, you might still start figuring out things that you have not known before. But it is very important that you go through the process that you have to go through. Don't skip it saying, yeah, we already know the basic. That's why you get married and you find out that your partner probably doesn't want to have kids. You never spoke about it. All you were after was, let's just get married. Or you find out that your partner, I heard a story that until they got married, he didn't know his wife uses glasses.
Really?
So there are some times that we just feel we can skip certain things, but come on, pay attention to details.
Well, this next one is Kayode from Egbeda. It says, it involves courage, resilience, and the willingness to embrace the unknown. Letting go, perhaps the most intricate of the three, involves releasing attachment, whether emotional, mental, or physical. It requires acknowledging the past, forgiving, and freeing oneself from what no longer serves a purpose. Letting go demands inner strength, vulnerability, and a deep understanding of oneself and the situation at hand. This is Kayode from Agbada. I think forgiving struck me there, for being able to forgive that person, because yes, you will be hurt. And letting go is harder when you have not forgiven that person.
What if you are the one that hurts the person?
Then letting go should be easy.
You think so?
Yes.
Even if you are the one that hurts the person, letting go is still not going to be easy, because you share the bond with the person. So you hurt the person, maybe intentionally, maybe unintentionally. It doesn't mean that to let the person go will be pretty easy. So that's important to me.
If you say so.
All right, but let's take Dre from Lagos. Dre says, letting go is like shedding old skin. Painful but necessary for growth. In our Nigerian culture, we prioritize family and community ties, making it hard to let go. However, holding on can lead to stagnation. I've learned to acknowledge my emotions, seek support, and focus on personal growth. You know, I like the fact that Dre connected this with our culture, where we prioritize family and cultural ties. So sometimes it's very difficult for us to say, I want to let go of this person. But the moment you gain that courage and the will to let go. And also, it's important to know that sometimes, once you make that decision once, it becomes a smooth ride. You just decide that, you know what, I'm done, I'm letting go of this person, and you see that moving on becomes very easy, because you've dealt with it inside of you. You've been able to manage it properly.
Well, I don't know what that means, but well, let's move on. Moving on involves cherishing memories without being held back. After losing my mother, I struggled to cope. However, focusing on personal growth, seeking support, and honoring her legacy helped me heal. This is Ramat from Surulere. Quite interesting.
The loss of a loved one. Now, this is coming from the angle of the loss of a loved one.
Yes.
It's not easy to move on. It can be draining.
Yes, very.
So I get that. I get that a lot. But let's take Bolaji. Bolaji from Yabatek says, starting over is an opportunity to redefine your story and create a better future. After a painful divorce, I had to rebuild my life. I focused on self-care, rediscovered my passions, and rebuilt my finances. Now I help others navigate similar challenges. Oh, so sorry about the divorce, Bolaji, but we are glad that you were able to get yourself back on track and you're doing just fine.
All right, this next one is Joseph from Abuja. It says, letting go requires self-awareness and emotional intelligence. As Nigerians, we must balance our desire for community with our need for personal freedom. I found solace in journaling, meditation, and supporting friends. Joseph from Abuja. I like
when
that.
You have
journaling.
Friends that can support you, Especially if you have friends they're friends that first
Good
make
friends.
Just of you.
Yes.
They will laugh. They will tell you about all the times they warned you. In fact, they will make a joke out of your situation. But trust me, they will stick around. They'll be there to give you that support. They'll be there to give you all that you need. Good friends that will not record you when you're crying and post it on social media and have people laugh at you.
Yes.
It's good to have good friends. But let's take Uche from Jos. Uche says, starting over demands resilience and determination. Losing my business taught me valuable lessons. I've since rebuilt, leveraging my network and skills. Nigerians face unique challenges, but our adaptability and resourcefulness makes us stronger. This is Uche from Just. Thank you so much for your comments, Uche. Thank you.
All right, this next one is Faith from Lagos. She says, moving on requires intentional focus on personal growth. Whatever the case may be, we must balance our cultural obligations with our individual needs and prioritize self-reflection, mindfulness, and supportive relationships to navigate life's challenges. Faith from Lagos. I think she has it all figured out.
Right. But let's take Sammy from Unilag. Sammy says, letting go can be like untangling a knot of emotions, slowly unraveling each thread. Starting over is akin to planting a new seed, nurturing it to grow into something beautiful. Both processes have their complexities, but letting go often involves deeper emotional exploration and acceptance. See, these people are just hitting it spot on. Letting go is you breathing in and telling yourself, what, this has been a ride, but I've made the decision to let go of everything, especially if it starts to affect your mental health, your sanity. Sometimes people say being in toxic places, some people have gotten very comfortable in toxic places, which shouldn't be the case, so once you decide to let go, I think you've conquered the major step.
So how do you know if you've actually let go?
So sometimes it differs for people. Some people, they see these people, maybe they are post or they are whatever, and they don't feel any pain. They don't feel bitter towards them. They don't feel anything. They are just okay, right? For others, it is what's the word? Ability to delete pictures.
That's where I was getting to.
Memories. Once they've been able to conquer that, they feel better. For some, it's ability to just maintain friendship. It's another level of letting go when you are able to maintain friendship with somebody that you've broken off a relationship.
You gave your all in all.
There are people that are able to maintain friendship.
I don't backslide.
And for some, letting go is actually finding peace with yourself and doing okay by yourself. So it differs for different people. People measure how they've let go in different ways. So what works for you, or what is letting go for you, might not be what works for me in terms of letting go. I might be okay. I've been able to deal with seeing this person and I don't feel any pain, bitterness. Yours might be, I want to delete all the memories of us together.
Nah, that's where I'm getting to. I know ladies have that thing. They have that trend. They tend to anytime they want to break up or quote unquote let go, they block that person on all social media, phone, WhatsApp, and whatnot, and they delete everything. Do you think that will really help to let go, or is just trying to just evacuate that person from your space?
If that's what makes them stay sane,
does it actually work?
I don't. If that's what I can't be the judge of that. People handle emotions differently. If that's what will help, if blocking the person, deleting the person, you don't want the person in your space, if that's what will make you get yourself back, then go ahead and do it. I feel like people need to be free to do whatever they choose to do for their own sanity. So if I need to block you on all my social media platforms, if I need to delete all pictures of you and both of us, if I need to burn anything that holds a memory, yes, now if I need to burn anything that holds a memory of us, if that's what I need to do to feel better and heal, then I would do it for my sanity. But there are people that do it, and after a while, when they've healed, they unblock them and they can deal with seeing their statuses because
what about deliverance?
I have no words.
All right, this last one is Doyin from Ikoyi. She says, releasing emotional attachment and accepting change can make letting go a complex process. Now, on the other hand, starting over can be tough as it involves building something entirely new. Both moving on and starting over have their own set of challenges, but letting go may require more emotional processing and introspection. Doing from Ikoyi, I think I like that. Moving on and letting go, just like I said earlier on, starting over again, the whole talking stage, it's a whole lot. We can skip so many things. We just need to know the basic, your genotype, this. Then all that, don't show too much emotion, don't show like you care too much, show your home training and all that. I mean, at the end of the day, we will still get to the...
It's safe to say that most people actually believe that letting go is the most difficult to do based on the comments we have here. And as once you can summon that courage and deal with the pain, deal with the emotion, trust me, starting over will be very easy.
Just like you said, this is where we come to the end of Views from the Net. We do hope you've learned one or two things, but stick around, we still have a whole lot more coming up on the Breakfast Cafe. We'll be right back.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, "What a ride!" High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Find your limits. Go-karting. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real. Something big is in town. Something powerful and majestic. A mammoth creation destined to become a legend by all who encounter it. High Impact Planet. Nigeria's biggest family theme park with facilities designed for friends, families or large groups under a relaxing atmosphere. Be welcomed by wowing displays of animatronics, thrill out with realistic arcade games or enjoy a number of thrilling heart-racing park rides. Experience the 5D and 12D cinemas and challenge your mates with bumper cars and go-kart races. Don't forget to slide into the ice rink or simply take time out to enjoy a pizza at our delightful restaurant and dessert spot, or at the exquisite club lounge. High Impact Planet, 12 Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ibafo, opposite MFM Prayer City. Visit high-impactplanet.com for details and inquiries. Fun just got real.
Welcome to the high side of life. Join us every day at High Impact 102.1 FM, your urban lifestyle station.
I just want to be yeah.
As a child, what is most important to you is love, warmth, acceptance, and security. But as you grow, there is a paradigm shift in the way you approach life. The interest you lose in some things, you pick in other things. Sometimes, the road is smooth. Other times, it is rough. Every step of the way comes with a new hurdle to scale. You win some, you lose some. You laugh hard, you cry hard, but at the end, you look back with a fulfilling smile and say, what a ride. High Impact Television equips you with what you need every step of the way.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with our state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881.
Welcome back. It's still the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. Don't forget you can also call in. The number will be displayed on your screen. This is where we discuss topical issues. The topic for today is electoral reforms and democratic sustainability in Nigeria. So let me give you a backstory before we bring in our guest. Now, Nigeria, a West African nation, has been grappling with the complexity of democratic governance since its transition from military rule in 1999. Now, the country's electoral system, of course, has faced presidential challenge or persistent challenge, I beg your pardon, including voter fraud, violence, and a lack of trust in electoral processes. Now, to ensure sustainability of Nigeria's democratic trajectory, comprehensive electoral reforms have become imperative. Now, these reforms aim to transform the ways elections are conducted and citizens participate in the democratic process. Now, it also creates a level playing field for all political actors. It enhances transparency, of course, accountability, and fostering public confidence, which is very crucial in the electoral system. Now, addressing the root causes of electoral irregularities and strengthening democratic institutions can pave the way for a more inclusive, equitable, and of course representative democracy. Let's welcome our guest. He is Dr. Enang, Wisdom Enang. Of course, he is a senior energy consultant, expert, and analyst. Good morning. It's glad to have you here.
Hi, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Let's kick off with the conversation for today. We're talking about something very crucial, and this has to do with electoral reforms and democratic sustainability in Nigeria. So first off, in very clear terms, could you explain the concept of electoral reforms and why they are very crucial for economics, rather democratic sustainability in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. I think, stands on a number of tenets, and one of the first is equity, justice, and fairness. And you cannot have a society that is progressive if people do not feel that there is fairness in the way that the leaders emerge. And so what electoral reforms tries to do is to ensure that that whole process, it's first transparent. That whole process is, of course, at parity with what we would obtain within the global standards. of course, we do know that when it comes to the success of those methods, that they are meant to be enabled by certain imperatives like technology. However, sometimes we find out that that technology, for example, in the beavers for the upload, is not working in some certain areas, which of course gives the room for improvement. But the entire idea behind the electoral reforms is to ensure that there is that progressive step to taking towards enhancing the transparency, equity, and the fairness of our democracy.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I'd like to ask you, now, in your own view, and your own perspective, how effective have these reforms been in improving the credibility, emphasis on the credibility of Nigeria's electoral process?
Right, thank you very much. You see, the reform is just one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the implementation of the reform. And the implementation of the reform takes into cognizance solving all the gray areas that are crisscrossing the reforms. I'm going to give you context. When you implemented the reform, how well do you implement it? For example, the electoral laws talked about the upload of data for transparent purposes. And then you have the implementation that is done. That's fine, where we have enough significant internet. How do we handle the situation where there's no internet? Some of those are not spelled out in the reform. Some of those are now left to INEC to decide how they're going to handle it. And remember, INEC is typically the star witness, so whatever works for them is typically accepted by the court. Now, let's now go to the court. We've had situations where the elections are won on the field, technically, but they are overturned in court. And then the question you're asking me is, how does that impact the overall democracy that we do run? And the truth is this: there is no way you can certainly say that you have been able to create the electoral reform you need just by the legislation itself, if the legal aspects are going to undermine the integrity of the legislation. That is the first and primary thing that we need to understand. The other thing that we need to understand is, when we're implementing, especially with the gray areas, what is the sincerity of purpose of the implementation? Because, again, as I said, even the most well-crafted legislation would have to depend so much on how it is implemented. So, just to answer more directly your question, how has that made things differently? Well, we have improved to a degree, but there's still a lot of areas of implementation, areas of interpretation when it gets to the law. Those are areas that are still undermining the reforms that we have had. But just to say, we have had very significant reforms, and I'll give you some examples. Before now, it was obtainable to take your ballot papers and then go and vote, do multiple thumb printing in the house and vote. And that could be explained with the number of actual votes that used to happen before. You could see a very huge number of people were double voting, triple voting by one individual of multiple votes. However, now you see there's an effort towards ensuring there's one vote per person. That is being uploaded for the most part. And then, of course, the idea of voting is being checked. But again, what is the interpretation, especially in the gray areas? So there is a lot of improvement. In fact, right now, the number of votes that are determining the winners of the elections have slashed by almost about 60%. Before now, you would see people win by, say maybe 60 million votes. Just look at the presidential elections. Look at the numbers that people won before the current reforms and the numbers of voters, before the current reforms and the number of voters after the reform.
Right.
Now we're beginning to show number of people that partake in those elections.
Okay, so one of the major challenges we have is voter suppression, voter apathy, electoral violence, malpractice, and what have you. I'll just as we're preparing for an election in Edo State on Saturday, how can this challenge of voter suppression and political interference be addressed in future elections as we gear up for Saturday and subsequent ones?
Okay, thank you very much. I think something that you haven't mentioned, it's really, which is a big concern for me, is the idea of buying votes. I think it's really a bigger problem because I've actually voted myself, and in a rural area where I come from in Akwa Ibom. And I can tell you that suppression wasn't really an issue. The reason is any form of violence would trigger the cancellation of those elections at that polling units. And no party who is looking for an advantage will want to create such a situation for themselves. But suppression does still happen. But I'm saying that it might not be enough to alter the outcome of the elections if the election is to proceed anyways. So that's not really my worry, but it's something to watch out for and to report, and it will be cancelled accordingly. I think the biggest concern that I do have is the idea of buying votes, and that's the one that's really technical and difficult to counter, because this happens under a kind of I'll say an induced free will of the people that are participating in it. It can go on unannounced and people would definitely get away with it. But then that is when you appeal to Nigerians to say, look, when we see things like the economic consequences of the decisions we make, and that we live with it for at least 4 years, or even more, it then becomes on us as people to vote with our conscience, vote based on issue-based campaigns, and not really to collect money. There's really nothing you can do. You can try, but technically that is left for the conscience of the voters to decide whether there will be participants of vote buying or not.
All right, thank you very much. I would like to also add one that you did not mention, which is voter apathy. If you look at the last general elections also, we had cases where there were voter apathy. What do you think led to this cause, and how can it be subdued or eradicated to the barest minimum?
Oh, thanks for mentioning that. I actually forgot that. The thing is, a lot of people are driven by psychology on what they feel is going to be the right rationale towards voting. And re-educating people to know that voting should be contextualized within the economic blueprint of wherever you're standing for. What is the economic blueprint? What do they represent? What do they stand for? What does it mean for the progress of the state, for example, or the local government? These are all things that we need to be looking out for. I think education is very key to overcoming voter apathy, because I think ignorance is really one of the key drivers. Sentiment, another key driver. So I think people, and these are what NGOs and the government needs to do, and even the candidates, to sell issue-based campaigns that would then override any other sentimental basis that any voter would want to put in their votes for.
All right. Just as we prepare to wrap up the conversation with you this morning, it's important to touch on marginalized groups. How can Nigeria's electoral system be more inclusive, especially for marginalized groups, women, the youth, the old? How can we have a process where it's all inclusive?
Right. I thank you very much. I'm going to break that down so that we can just eat the flesh a little bit deeper. When you talk about marginalized groups, there are different ways people get marginalized. Even starting from the hassle of collecting your voter's card. I've known people that say, well, look, I can't be bothered. If this is the stress I have to go through to collect my voter's card, I won't be bothered. Those are already people that are disadvantaged based on just the stress it takes. So we need to improve that stress. When we then get into the collection of voters' card, there's a huge struggle even when it is ready. you have to go and they'll sort it out. You spend hours. That should be solved. You should be able to get a text, come to your location, and then everything is being computerized. Of course, it's lined up properly, and then they just set your name. They know where to go, the catalog number to go and pull out your card for you. That should be made very easy. They should increase the number of hours where, these cards shouldn't just be close to elections. There should be enrollment and collection even during normal times. The other thing that I want to say is when you get to the voting booths itself, I have seen situations where people want to come out and vote. They come out, the voting hasn't started, there's one delay or the other, and they just feel they can't come here and waste all their time. They stroll back home. And I know how long I had to wait to oversee the process and, of course, to vote. And a lot of people, by the time we started voting, about 55% had already gone home. And so you had a lot of people register. By the time it came to voting, when the voting actually started, a lot of people have gone home. And I just think we can do it a lot better. Like even in the US, you could email your ballot boxes. I mean, I'm not saying we should get there if we haven't improved our security architecture, internet architecture, but those are things we can do. All what we need to do to create a more inclusive environment for people is to reduce the stress involved in participating in voting. And that way people will feel more encouraged, make it more transparent, and people will feel more encouraged, and make sure that people's votes count, because you can exclude people, especially the elite class, if they find out that at the end of the day you still wriggle your way and put false numbers there and the votes don't count. So those are some of the ways we can encourage people to come out and participate.
Okay, in less than 30 seconds, looking at the preparations towards Edo polls, how would you score INEC at this point?
I would say a little bit above average, and I have my reasons, because I haven't seen anything that shows me that they are incorporating the lessons learned from the last election, some of the shortcomings of the last elections, and that there's an active, by now I should be seeing a punch list item telling us this is where things went wrong in the last elections, and this is what we have done, and this is why we are sure that this will not be done. I think it's just running through the process like we did last time, with no focus on lessons learned, and that's why I'm scoring a little bit above average.
All right, we hope that they learn from this as well and do better in forthcoming elections. Thank you so much, Wisdom Enang, for joining us and for sharing your thoughts with us on the conversation this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Do enjoy your morning.
And you too. Right, that was Wisdom Enang, a senior energy consultant and analyst, and we talked about something very, very important, which had to do with, let me just get the topic out. We talked about electoral reforms and democratic sustainability in Nigeria. We hope it was an insightful one for you, because it was for us. We'll take a break now, and we'll be back with our trending story for today. Just stay with us.
Sustainable democracy for our dear nation. Along that line, we discussed extensively the need for collaboration between the Nigerian Governors Forum, the PDP Governors Forum, and the National Working Committee, so that some of the issues that result in litigation, issues that cannot be resolved, will be resolved on the table. It is along this line that we collectively agreed the need for rule of law, and the delegation gave their firm commitment or support to the position of the Nigerian Governors Forum PDP on Rivers State, where we have an established practice in which any governor in any state that is coming from the party is the leader of the party and would therefore have the structure of the party for sustainability. that commitment. On behalf of the Governors Forum, we are very grateful to the National Working Committee, ably led by the legal advisor. We also discussed some of the legal issues that are lingering, and I use the opportunity on behalf of the Governors Forum to ask the delegation to convey our appreciation to the acting national chairman and to insist that please, those committees they have set up on reconciliation and disciplinary issues should work in a manner that we will do it through consensus, through agreement, so that at least we will not create any political imbroglio.
Welcome back. The video you just watched is the PDP national acting, the PDP acting national chairman, that's Damagum. He gave a speech. He is to step down, and of course, according to the report, also Siminalayi Fubara, that's the governor of Rivers State, has taken full total control of Rivers State. You know, talk about the whole tussle between Wike and Fubara, and them trying to remove Wike's loyalists. You know, it's a whole lot, and I must say that I expected more from the People's Democratic Party, talking about trying to put a stop to this whole situation, allowing to linger for so long. You know, and every other thing. Them not being able to even sit down and have a meeting. They've been postponing. They've been trying to have this meeting. A lot of things have, you know, been going on, and who knows whether it might affect them or not. Talk about the coming elections that's for 2027. Well, one of the things to notice, this is the PDP governors and the National Working Committee resolving to remove Wike's loyalists. I think we would get to experience some sort of calm in Rivers State, and maybe we would not have all of this back and forth anymore between. Wike should focus on the FCT and all that he's set to do there, and leave Fubara to do his job. Well, Wike has also threatened other governors that he will put fire in their state if they put mud in his business. You know, this whole thing, and I know Wike, fine, it's a good thing if the PDP are trying to remove Wike's lawyers, but I know Wike is a good contender. He's not going to give up easily and all that, but I think this is where we get to stop on our trend day. Let's take the weather forecast and we'll be right back. You know, when you get to see the weather forecast, we have slowly come to the end of the show for the day. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Major thanks to our guests, Dr. Adara Mewa and Wisdom Enang, for joining us and for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for sending in your comments, and thank you for calling. Remember that we'll be here again, same time tomorrow for the Friday edition. You don't want to miss it. Until I grace your screens next time, I am Sarah Owusu. Have a lovely Thursday. And I remain Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day.